Hello and welcome. I hope you're doing well from wherever it is you're joining us. In this module, we study the Federal Reserve System, its functions, and its monetary policy tools. We start with the history of the Federal Reserve. Why do we have a central bank? How is it organized? What purpose does it serve? We will take a careful look at two goals of monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. This is often called the dual mandate of the Federal Reserve. For all of our discussion for the remainder of this course should somehow relate back to the dual mandate. We will then examine the institutional features of the Federal Reserve and see how its monetary policy decision-making process works. To be clear, this course examines the Federal Reserve System of the United States as a case study. There are of course many other central banks around the world. Some central banks have a different mandate or a slightly different set of key functions. However, all of them conduct monetary policy and provide a payment system. In this course, we focus mostly on how central banks conduct monetary policy. Over time, there has been much disagreement about the best ways to conduct monetary policy. Some central banks explicitly target the money supply rather than interest rates. The Federal Reserve used to do this. Why do we care about money supply? Like any other good, the price of money is determined by demand for money and supply of money in the economy. What's perhaps unusual is that the price of money is the interest rate. Rather than targeting interest rates directly, it might make sense to control the money supply instead. But that begs the question, how can we measure the money supply? We will therefore introduce the concept of money supply, its measurement, and how it can be affected by monetary policy. We then examine the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve and how it has evolved over time. We will provide some insights about how the conduct of monetary policy has changed money supply. To understand how exactly money supply and interest rates are related, we will focus on traditional monetary policy. We will discuss how open market operations directly affect the money supply in the federal funds market. We will see how these open market operations determine the equilibrium interest rate in this market, the federal funds rate. The federal funds rate is the main target interest rate of monetary policy in the US. A complementary traditional monetary policy tool is the discount window. This policy tool provides short-term liquidity in form of short-term loans to banks. This tool is mainly designed for emergency uses, so the interest rate is set higher than the federal funds rate. But the discount window loans remain an alternative to federal funds. The interest rate on the discount window loans therefore enforces the upper limit of the federal funds rate target range set by the Federal Reserve. The last part of this module looks at new monetary policy tools that have emerged after the 2008 global financial crisis. These are often called unconventional monetary policy tools. The first is forward guidance. Forward guidance gives market participants a clear path for interest rates, or more generally, monetary policy actions in the future, and can be used to target long-term interest rates. The second new tool are large-scale asset purchases. When the short-term interest rate is already zero, central banks can further increase the money supply by buying large amounts of government-backed debt, such as treasury securities and agency mortgage-backed securities. This approach allows the central bank to bring down long-term interest rates directly. The third new tool is the Overnight Reverse Repurchase Program, or ONRRP. This tool is used to set interest rates in the repo market. The repo market is like the federal funds market, an overnight lending market. Financial institutions could switch between these markets. They are substitutes. By managing the equilibrium in the repo market, the Federal Reserve ensures that all short-term interest rates are consistent with their monetary policy targets. To conclude, this module provides an in-depth discussion of monetary policy tool. Many of these videos will require an understanding of the financial markets and instruments discussed in the first module, specifically the federal funds market, the repo market, treasury securities, and the yield curve. You don't need to understand all the technical details of each monetary policy tool. However, I do want you to keep these two main high-level points in mind. First, the Federal Reserve targets multiple closely linked markets with its interest rate policy. Second, when the short-term interest rate is zero, the central bank is not out of options. It can use forward guidance and large-scale asset purchases to target longer-term interest rates.